Call the police. He's trespassing. That's what I heard the second I stepped into my own cabin after 18 months away. A woman I'd never seen before was screaming like I was a burglar, dialing 911, while a group of strangers looked at me like I was the criminal. My father's fishing gear, the same stuff I grew up with, was being used as decoration in some bizarre healing ritual. My heart sank. My cabin. My inheritance. My memories. Hijacked. And now, apparently illegal for me to enter. How the hell did my property become hers? I hadn't set foot in that cabin since my father passed away. Grief made it impossible. But after a year and a half, I finally gathered the courage. I drove up the mountain road, expecting quiet, maybe even a little peace. Instead, the first thing I noticed was noise. Laughter. Cars lined along the driveway. Catering trucks. For a second, I thought I had the wrong place. But no, it was my cabin. My father's wooden sign still hung on the porch. I opened the door with my own key, only to be met by chaos. Inside, 20 women sat cross-legged on the floor, humming. And at the center, this sharp-eyed woman, perfectly manicured, clipboard in hand, turned on me like I'd just broken into her kingdom. "Who are you?" she snapped. I lifted my key. "I'm the owner. This is my..." "Liar," she cut me off, then screamed to her security. "Remove this disruptive masculine energy." Security? In my father's cabin? That's when she grabbed her phone and shouted, "Call the cops. He's trespassing." But the real shock? They listened to her. Before I could even process it, 2 men with earpieces approached, blocking the door. They were her security detail, not mine. Behind them, the women in yoga pants clutched crystals, glaring at me like I was some dangerous intruder. "This is insane," I muttered. "I own this place." But the woman, let's call her Karen, because she was the ultimate HOA Karen, smirked. "No, you abandoned this property, and the community has claimed it." I scanned the room. My dad's fishing rod leaned against the wall. His tackle box sat on a velvet cloth like some sacred relic. They were treating my father's belongings as holy artifacts. Karen clapped her hands. "Ladies, don't let his toxic energy disrupt your healing. Remember, grief attracts parasites." The guests nodded, almost hypnotized. I realized then this wasn't a casual get-together. This was organized. Professional. And the scariest part? She wasn't improvising. She was prepared for me. One guard leaned closer, whispering, "Step outside quietly, sir. Don't make this worse." But I wasn't about to be thrown out of my own cabin. That's when I pulled out my phone and started recording. Karen noticed immediately. "Oh, you want to record? Perfect. Everyone, witness how lost souls attack sacred spaces." The room of guests gasped on cue. It was like a script she'd rehearsed. I kept filming. "That's my father's tackle box you're charging people to look at," I said. Karen didn't miss a beat. "This isn't about you. This is about the community. Your grief blinded you, so we stepped in to honor his legacy." Legacy? She was charging each guest $2,000 to commune with the fisherman's spirit. I laughed in disbelief. That's fraud. But she pulled out paperwork with official county seals. "Actually, it's legal under Mountain Ordinance 847B. I stared. Was that real? The documents looked legitimate. Stamps, signatures, legal jargon. Even her security guards believed it. She whispered into her radio, "Target arrived early. Execute containment protocol." Target? Me? This wasn't some kooky yoga retreat. This was a business operation, and I was the obstacle. And she had a whole plan for me. When the guests left that evening, I was still shaking. That's when Tom Bradley, my dad's old friend, and a retired cop, approached me quietly. "Owen," he said, "we need to talk." He explained everything. After I stopped visiting the cabin, Karen began convincing the community that I had abandoned my inheritance. She positioned herself as some caretaker of the fisherman's spirit, using my dad's name like a brand. And people bought it. Worse, She'd recruited a woman named Crystal, supposedly a recovering addict, who'd been asking suspicious questions about me when I traveled, if I'd ever return. Tom leaned closer. She's not in recovery. She's surveillance. She's been watching you. The realization made my stomach turn. They hadn't just stumbled into my cabin. They'd been planning for my eventual return. Tom warned me, she's built community support, Owen. If you fight her, people will think you're the bad guy. That's when I knew. This wasn't just Karen. This was a machine. And tomorrow, it was about to get much bigger. Back home, I dug into her online presence. What I found made my blood run cold. She had a polished website, Mountain Serenity Retreats. Photos of my dad's belongings labeled spiritual artifacts. Fake testimonials about life-changing experiences with the fisherman's spirit. And a booking system, fully professional, with events scheduled 6 months in advance. The kicker. Tomorrow's calendar showed a celebrity spiritual transformation, booked by a local influencer with 50,000 followers. Price tag? $25,000. If she pulled it off, my father's memory wouldn't just be stolen, it would go viral. She was about to turn my family grief into entertainment content. Scrolling further, I noticed something else. Clients from California, Oregon, Colorado. This wasn't small-town scamming. This was multi-state organized fraud. My heart raced. I couldn't let her succeed. But what could I do? She had security, paperwork, and community support. Then it hit me. If she was going to use the internet to build her scam, I'd use the internet to tear it down. But first, I needed to survive her next move. The next morning, my lawyer called in a panic. Owen, we've got a problem. Karen filed for a restraining order against you. Hearings in 2 hours. I nearly dropped the phone. A restraining order? Against me? On my own property. But when I showed up at court, I understood. Karen walked in looking like a trauma victim. Shaky voice, tears, trembling hands. She had a stack of documents that looked like evidence. Staged photos of me lurking, fake police reports about me threatening her guests, even neighbor testimonies claiming I'd been unstable since my father's death. The judge, who usually handled parking disputes, looked overwhelmed. Karen's therapeutic vocabulary and professional demeanor sold the story. When I argued it was my cabin, she countered, grief clouds judgment. He abandoned his responsibilities. This property belongs to the community. The gavel came down. Temporary restraining order granted. I was banned from approaching within 500 feet of my own cabin. Karen had just locked me out of my inheritance. Legally. And tomorrow was her big celebrity event. If I didn't act fast, she'd win. With no other choice, I got creative. My lawyer pulled strings to get me temporary press credentials. I disguised myself as an assistant camera operator on the influencer's film crew. Risky, but it got me inside. The cabin had been transformed into a movie set. Professional lighting, multiple camera angles, high-end catering. Karen was in her element, performing what she called the sacred fisherman ancestral ceremony. She held my father's fishing rod like a staff, channeling his spirit for $25,000. During a break, I caught her bragging to a cameraman, the secret is grief. Dead people never argue about interpretation fees. Their families are too broken to fight back. I recorded every word. Then, I pulled the influencer aside and told her the truth. Karen was a fraud, using my dad's memory. Her eyes widened. Then she smirked. This'll go viral. Moments later, she live-streamed it to her 50,000 followers. Guys, I just found out this healer is scamming us, using a dead man's cabin without permission. The comments exploded. Karen's empire unraveled in real time. And that's when she snapped, screaming, "Arrest him. He's violating a restraining order." But this time, the world was watching. Within hours, state investigators showed up. Complaints flooded in. Karen's fake permits collapsed under scrutiny. Her accomplice Crystal was exposed as her sister, a career fraudster with a criminal record. Neighbors who once believed her lies now apologized. We should have seen it, they admitted. For the first time in years, I walked into my cabin without fear. I restored my father's belongings, piece by piece. The cabin was mine again, not a stage, not a scam, but a place of memory. Karen? She was arrested for fraud, tax evasion, and more. Her empire turned to dust overnight. But just when I thought it was over, a detective pulled me aside. Mr. Hayes, we've discovered something disturbing. Karen wasn't the mastermind. She was middle management. There's a larger network running identical scams in 5 states. My blood ran cold. The fight for my father's legacy was only the beginning. And now, I wasn't just a victim, I was part of the resistance.